name is Dylan with Espresso Outlet, and we have Barrett here also from Espresso Outlet joining us today. We are going to be pulling a shot of espresso on the all-new Turin SK40. Barrett's also going to be doing the SK40, but he's also going to be doing the DF64V on espresso as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get going. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments section, and Barrett will be there to answer them while I show you guys my workflow with the SK40. So I do recommend getting your single dosing capsules, any kind of capsule works, any kind of single dose method. I always do about 3 at a time just because they do get bad in here after about a week because it's not really sealed very well. Right now, I'm using about 18.2 grams for the recipe that I have. I'm on 7 and 2 clicks on here. So the nice thing about this grinder is it does have isn't it called like a worm adjustment?
Yeah, it has like a worm gear adjustment.
Which makes it super easy. It's super smooth to move it back and forth. I'll go ahead and show you here, and I'll just readjust it. So super easy to move. I would recommend turning the grinder on before you adjust too far, especially if you're using it for filter and espresso. But we're going to go ahead and get going so you can see how loud it is and everything. There is no mic, so it's just the external mic from the phone. All right, so I'll go ahead and take this off, show you all. All right, here we go. So I'll show you the base. So I did clean it before just so you guys can see. There might be a couple here and there, but there's not too many coffee grinds on the actual grinder itself, and the chute is pretty clean. So that is that. I'll give you a little bit closer look of the worm adjustment here. So this is the little knob, super easy to turn back and forth. Really clear dial markers right here. So all of these go by 2 increments, and then it goes to the next one here. So we're on 7 and 2 clicks for this one. All right. So I'll just show you guys my puck prep here. I will be using the La Marzocco today. I already have it turned on. Can you see this okay?
Yeah. I haven't seen any questions pop up yet.
All right, so here is the inside of the cup, if any of you guys were wondering. I didn't clean it prior, and I've already used it about 4 times, so it's about 4 times worth inside the cup, static-wise. There is a magnetic base, so the cup fits in there, and it doesn't move while grinding, which is also a really nice thing. So just going to do some WDT. There is a little bit of clumps, but the more you use it, the more it'll work itself out, and there'll be less clumps. All right. So we're going to distribute. And then I'm going to be using the Happy Tamper.
Does it make you happy?
It does make me happy. All right. Switch you guys over here. So I am using the Espresso Blend by Good Brothers. It is a medium roast. Trying to get the actual shot, so I'll have to bring my tripod down a little bit. This is probably where the gimbal would come in handy.
Yep.
But that's okay. All right. See it pretty well?
Yeah.
All right. So I always like to purge some of the water so you're not getting that initial hot steam that comes out of the group head. Lock it in. And then this ratio, I like to do a 1 to 2, so about 36.4 grams out in about 30 seconds. So go ahead and put the cup on. pretty good looking shot there.
Yeah.
I started the time a little late because my scale decided not to start on time. So we're looking at about 27 seconds, which for this recipe, I really enjoy. And then I'll go ahead and show you. So the nice thing about, this is a conical grinder. The nice thing about conical grinder is if you're big into pour overs, a lot of people have preference with conical just because it really gives you more of that brightness, that more citrusy type of taste. But with a flat burr, you're going to get more of the chocolatey, nutty notes. All right, so here is the shot here. So a lot of crema. This coffee is about probably 2 weeks old, so it's probably about just perfect to drink. Really nice crema base there. Should I make a latte out of it really quick?
You can.
All right. Let me go get my cup.
I'm going to start prepping mine. So I'm going to do Costa Rica, and we're just going to do 18 grams on the scale real quick, and then we'll wait for Dylan. I'm just going to get my beans weighed out.
All right. I'm actually going to transfer it. I kind of want an actual full latte, so I'm going to transfer it to a different cup here. All right. How's your latte art, Barrett?
Not good.
He said not good.
So I just don't get a chance to practice it. Dang.
Wonder what pitcher I should use.
You'll have the new Prove crushed can.
What's that?
You'll have the new Prove crushed can.
No. The crushed can.
I think it works good. Like, it's really cool design.
It is cool because then you can just, while you're doing the shot, you can change it and do different designs because there's like the different spouts.
Yep. Someone said it looked like they hit a can with their car. Oh, this is going to be fancy, I can tell.
What's going to be fancy?
Your latte art.
All right, so here is the latte art.
Looks amazing.
Thanks.
Take all day to do that.
What'd you say?
All day to do that.
All right. All right, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section, and we will get to them as soon as you ask them.
So I got my 18 weighed out. And we'll talk about some of these shots. I'm going to do a little RDT on 5 and 3 clicks. So a little bit finer than Dylan. And I think it's just probably where the 0 point is set. And a lot of it's the beans and the freshness and all that. I've really not gone above 6 line yet. So It's probably a pretty good starting point for people when they get this. Start between 5 and 7. And again, this iPhone mic, the cup's clean. Don't have any lights set up, so it's a little dark. Does a nice job, nice clean job. Add a little bit to the right here before I started. So that was there. This is pretty much, I don't think I wiped the spout down before I started. A little bit of chaff there in the middle. Not too bad on the clumps, really. But it is a pretty brand new grinder, so I like to just WD-T whisk in the cup. That kind of pre-preps for like a nice fluffy bed.
It transfers over into your portafilter a lot easier too.
Yeah, it does. So I got my machine heated up. Let's do some puck prep. So I got my open back funnel. It still works good. Usually put my finger on the back. And let's so you can see it.
I like your setup. It looks good.
Thanks.
So you have another one with the brick in the background too, don't you?
Another what?
Another setup with a brick in the background?
Yeah, it's at my shop.
Oh, okay.
So it's not at my house. I like to start at the bottom and kind of work my way up.
Good.
Kind of level out the top so that it's not level. And we're going to use an auto tamper today. So we have this new auto tamper. It's the Turin auto tamper. Works really good. Dylan was asking before the video if you just had this and a puck press put in front of you, you knew nothing about it, which one would you choose? I really don't think I could tell a huge difference between the two. I think the main thing that I like about this one is on the puck press, it kind of has like an inserted plastic disc. And there's all these different lips, and all these coffee grounds get stuck in there. And this one is just this nice flat base. You can use a little paintbrush and wipe off everything, and I think it's a lot easier to clean. A little bit up by the edge. Pretty smooth. So I'll try to angle you down like Dylan did.
Except you got a gimbal, it's easier. Well, you got to lower the tripod though.
I can't go any lower than this on this tripod. Use this. Hopefully we're good. Seems a little slow starting even though I just pulled a shot. There we go. I did mess with the setting. Try to slow it down. I might have gone a little bit too far.
Every time I do a video, I always have audience.
I know.
That looks like a lot of crema.
Yeah, we're only at 35 seconds. 30 seconds, 35 grams. Here.
What's your pressure set at with the Turin tamper?
Set about 9 bars. What sucks is I was using some cleaning stuff, and screwed up this PSI gauge. I've been waiting on a new one. I've tried to fix it, and it just doesn't. Kind of pisses me off because they're like $200.
Do you ever
supposed to clean your group head and all this stuff, and then it actually screwed it up.
do you ever drink lattes?
Not often. I don't do much milk. If I do any, it'll probably be like an oat milk.
Okay.
My throat. Like milk is bad. That's good.
Do you get more of that citrusy tasting that I was talking about?
It is definitely get the citrus taste for sure. Like hands down, lots of citrus.
So now comparing it for the price and the value of the DF64V, if someone is looking for an espresso based grinder and they are looking at both, what do you recommend? I mean, obviously there's a difference in price, but what would you recommend to them?
Yeah, there's a big difference in price. I'd say it's probably dependent upon what you're pairing it up with too. If you're pairing it up with maybe like a less expensive machine, I think this SK40 is going to be an awesome upgrade for you because you're probably using like a built-in grinder or maybe like a Barazza. Ode really didn't do espresso. You have that new fellow. It's basically just a Barazza too. This is plastic. This is much nicer.
So now you did a video where you did an entire disassembly when you got the SK40.
Yeah.
Tell everybody what your thoughts and experience were with the grinder disassembly.
So I took this whole black grinder apart, and I was extremely impressed with the build quality. I just kind of actually started laughing when I pulled out the motor because the motor, it's all stainless, or not probably stainless, it's probably aluminum and regular steel housing. So very high quality DC motor. It's 150 watt, which I've kind of mentioned is not big enough for some grinders, but we're talking about grinders that are a ton larger. So this is a nice size for these 40 millimeter bursts. So the motor is actually huge for this grinder.
Yeah, you're talking more of like the comparison of like if you were to put that motor in an Atom 75.
Yeah, if it was in an Atom, it'd probably be a bit small. But since it's in this guy, I mean, it's awesome for this size. You can see side by side that these two grinders are pretty much the same size. And I don't think people realize how small these grinders are compared to like my Atom. I mean, my Atom over here, that's a small grinder.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, it's a pretty small grinder compared to a lot of what I have. And then you come over here and you have these little guys right here. And I think that's really important to a lot of people. A lot of people, they're not as into it as Dylan and I, so they don't have all this giant stuff sitting on their counters. So space is pretty important to them, and I feel like both these grinders are pretty awesome for space savings. Now going back to like who's it for? I mean, I think the SK40 is for anyone. I mean, it's cheap enough that anyone that's into coffee should probably just get one. Not even trying to sell them. I'm just really impressed with the build quality, what you get. I've said it on all my videos. Like I had my Barazza that I paid $400 for, and this thing smokes it all day long. It's like so much nicer. The DF64V, I think that would be a really good grinder for just anyone that has a fairly nice setup. I mean, you could pair that with any machine. You could pair it with the cheapest Rebel, and you're going to get amazing shots. Because you're able to do that non-pressurized espresso basket. You're able to do all this really high-quality coffee grounds. The DLC burrs, they're really similar to the SSP high uniformity. So they're just amazing. So
I can't tell you how many emails we get about what does DLC mean, because if you say, some people say diamond-like coating, diamond-like carbon. I mean, it's all the same, but
Yeah,
there's so many different things out there.
it's the same.
So now, workflow wise, if you're comparing the SK40 and the DF64V, what would you say the would you say that one's better than the other comes to workflow, or would you say they're both about the same?
I'd say overall, I like the V more just because of a few different things. If you're swapping between espresso and like a brew, you have to spin that screw like quite a while.
Right.
When you're on this one, you just turn it on, you rotate it. So this mechanism, I mean, it costs more to make. It's a little bit more premium. Now, switching brew styles on this wasn't that big of a deal. And if this is a second grinder, you're probably just leaving it on about what you're using it for all the time and not switching back and forth. With this one, it gives you a little bit ease of doing whatever you want very quickly. Next thing, I do feel like this bellow is maybe a little bit more awkward. A couple times I've thought I've been pouring them in and they'll kind of go over the edge. This one, it's not that much smaller or bigger, but it just seems easier to get in that funnel.
Well, and the difference is with the SK40, it's got a little tiny hole because it tries to divot to funnel them in.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I guess that is about the same inside of there. But I feel like the bellows opening on the DF64V, same way. I mean, I believe it's the same bellows. I don't have the DF64V yet, but I believe the bellows is probably the same as the DF64, right?
It's a lot smaller.
Oh, is it?
Like so much smaller. And I don't have one at my house right now, but yeah, it's a lot smaller.
Are you talking about like the opening of the hole, or is it the
this
entire?
whole bellow is like half the size.
Oh wow, yeah. I kind of like that though.
I do too. And you don't need this giant bellow, just these toilet plungers up here, and people blowing all the grounds out all over. It's just crazy. And then the magnetic chute is pretty awesome, just to pop off.
Top and bottom.
Clumper, the declumper is awesome. The static, non-existent. I swapped burrs the other day. I had these MP burrs in it. And I used them for a couple weeks. And I just wanted to put the DLC back in. And when I swapped them out, I posted a picture on Facebook. And the inside was just extremely clean. The chute was extremely clean. I don't even do it that often, but I'll just use one of these little brushes.
I've never tried MP burrs. How do you like them?
They're awesome. Do you have any of the high uniformity? No. So it's going to be pretty similar to like your Italmill or your stock Mazzer burrs, but they're going to be you get a lot more mouthfeel and smoothness out of your cup of espresso. They are espresso burrs. You can use them for brew. A lot of people are like, oh, there's a lot of fines. Get a really expensive grinder and get a lot of fines. It's just the burr style. And I feel like it makes really nice pour over. I used the SK40 for pour over 3 days ago, and it was awesome there too. So they're just very different grinders. They both have a huge difference in taste. Like, I think you'd be shocked. So I did a side-by-side comparison video. You can go check it out. And in the side-by-side, I'd say the conical is much more muted, but it's probably easier to drink. So if you're not quite dialed in, you're not going to notice it as much. Where especially with the multi-purpose burrs, if you're not perfectly dialed in on that DF64V, you're going to get those burrs just show any inconsistencies. The DLC burrs, they're going to be a lot more forgiving.
Shout out to Allie's Coffee. She says, hey guys.
What's going on, Allie? So here's the crazy thing. It's running right now. I'm going to be completely quiet.
That's crazy.
Can you hear it?
No.
It almost scares me that I'm going to leave it on.
Now, turn on the SK40 as a comparison. Wow. Yeah, that's a big difference.
Big difference. So it's just like a whisper. Now, it gets pretty loud when you start grinding. but still, overall, it's still quiet. Let's do a quick bellow. Like if we pull that off, I mean, there's like a little bit on the inside. That's all clean.
That's nice that you can clean it that easily every single time.
Do what?
I said it's very nice you get to clean that every single time. Super easy.
Not only that, but like both of them come off.
Right.
So wipe down the whole front. And this thing is so easy to clean. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. Pull a shot. So this is just out of the grinder. A little bit hard to see. Like basically no clumps. If there's any clump, it's just from it clinging to the side a little bit. It's not like an actual clump from the grinder. It's just like a cloud. It's very fluffy. It's maybe not quite as fluffy as like the DF83. Some days with that, like I can hardly get everything into the portafilter.
Does the DF64V have the plasma like the DF83 or no?
It doesn't, but it doesn't really need it.
But I figured.
All aluminum construction. The declumper is stainless. So there's really no plastic. There's no static in my opinion. I mean, just you're barely any cling, kind of like when you get some stuck inside of your dosing cup. It's just so clean. I'm just going to do quick WDT again. Let's put this on.
Hey, Barrett.
What's up?
My dog says hi.
I saw that.
She kept clawing at my legs, and I have shorts on. It hurt.
We have a cat. And more than once, she's climbed up on my back during the video.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm not watching or something. Here, let's do this auto tamper. I think I'm just getting some up on the edge, but usually it's like perfect. First time. Let's throw this in, drop it down. Oops. Wrong knob.
You said it's warm where you're at, isn't it?
Yeah, it was like 80 yesterday.
It must be nice. It was like 80 2 days ago, and then it was 32 and snowy yesterday.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm done with snow for the year.
It's the life of the Midwest.
So hopefully this one's dialed in. I haven't tried this one today, but it looks pretty good.
Looks real good.
Yeah, it looks real good. Real centered. Tons of chroma. These are a week old.
What beans are you using?
These are Costa Rican that I roasted. It'll settle quite a bit. The chroma on the other ones settled a lot. So, did my comparison. Like Dylan said, this one, I mean, you get a lot of that citrus flavor. And on this one, it's just different. It's going to bring out the floralness a lot more, I think. Give it a try. See if it's too hot. This is just night and day different.
Hey Barrett, I think you should pull. I think you should steam some milk and pull some latte.
I don't even have any milk, man. We don't buy it.
No. What about alternative milk?
Nope, don't buy it.
Nothing.
Nothing. Kids won't drink it. I won't drink it.
So, what? Dylan was watching your short the other day. Not using tamper anymore, thinking as an electric tamper. Patent holder, that's kind of weird.
was your question?
Allie said, Dylan was watching your short the other day on not using tamper anymore. Thinking as an electric tamper pack holder, that's kind of weird.
This?
I'm not sure. Maybe that one.
Yeah, if you got any questions on that, I mean, I've used those auto tampers for a long time. I think they work great.
Yeah, the only one that I've ever used was the Bose. That's the only electric tamper I've ever used. Obviously, you have the new Turin one. You have the puck press. What are some other ones out there?
There's like the Cube or something. It never got popular. There's a couple others. There's like a really tall cylindrical one that.
Oh, the Sino art thing.
Maybe
something like that. So, which espresso do you prefer out of both grinders?
They're just so different, and I'm not a big conical fan, like at all. I never use a conical for really anything, and I've really found myself liking it just for something different. You kind of get bored with like same old stuff, you know. And it's allowed me to experiment with a lot of just different beans, and I've never really loved a conical. And I found myself really liking this one. There's just something about it's not so muted and boring that I like it. And it's
something I love about the SK40 is obviously the size comparison. Height wise, it's the same size as the DF64 with the bellows and everything. But if you actually look at like the body, it's like half the size of the DF64. And the nice thing is it's a nice modern, really simplistic design, and it's built very well. That's what I really like about the SK40, and how easy it is to adjust the grind size. Obviously, like you said, it does have that worm screw to change the adjustment. So if you're going from espresso and pour over every single day, it might get a little old trying to keep turning it and then turn it all the way back. But if you're, like you said, if you have this as like a secondary grinder, or you only drink espresso or you only drink pour over, then like you're never going to have to worry about that. And I just think that the price that you get, the price point that the grinder's set at, and the quality you're getting with that price point, I don't think there's anything on the market that beats it.
I really don't think there's anything out there. I really don't. I mean, I was excited when I received my first SD40. That's the predecessor to this one. It has different burrs. It has a 6-point burr cut design. They've redone the geometry on the V2, and this SK40 uses the same burrs as the V2. And I can actually tell a big difference between the burrs. I really can. The SK40, I never really had that big of a problem dialing it in for espresso. I think there are those like kind of annoying odd days where you're between a click, and it does make your shot run a little bit too fast or too slow if you're in between that click. Where this, it completely eliminates that altogether.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, the new SD40 version 2 is stepless.
No, it's the same. It's a step grinder, I believe.
So the burrs are just improved then.
The burrs are improved. The electronics are improved. I think that's it on that one. Don't quote me on that. It's all on our website, what the improvements are. The SD40, I believe, is still stepped. And you can use it for espresso. I think it's a really good just brew grinder. And then the SK40 has the worm gear. So definitely, like, the first time I adjusted this from espresso to a drip, I was like, it takes, I'm used to just going, I'm there, you know? And 5-10 seconds. It doesn't really take that long. And
so for you, if you're deciding between the SD40 and the SK40, so the version 2 on the SD40 versus the SK40, your personal opinion, what do you go with?
I would probably do the SK just because I like espresso. And really what I would use it for more often than not would be espresso. If I'm going to do like really high quality bean on pour over, like I have these behind me that are like a really high end natural process bean, I'm gonna probably use like my Ditting or probably like the DF83 does a pretty good job. If I want that like extreme clarity, I'm probably going to go with the Ditting or maybe the multi-purpose burrs in a 64. Because believe it or not, even though the 64 millimeter burrs are smaller, the amount of clarity that you get out of it, the fruitiness is next level. It's insane. But I don't want that for every cup of coffee. So it's
Right.
really for me to say which grinder I like. I've kind of been ruined. I have even different grinders for different beans or different burrs for different beans. And I just really want that bean to be what I need it to be that day or want it to be that day. Um, I think the SK40 is an awesome upgrade for people if you just have any thoughts about it. Like if you have one of your cheaper grinders, your Barazzas, your Brevels, anything like that, like it's like a no questions asked. It's going to be a huge upgrade. If you have something like a DF64 and you're looking for a second grinder, I wouldn't hesitate either, just because what it's going to offer you is huge. It's going to allow you to do so much more stuff. And I even saw an email saying like I might swap my order around for this, and this because I want the ability to grind basically any bean, any style, do any method, and adding that one grinder really allows me to do that. So I totally get it. It makes a lot of sense. Like in my early days, it didn't really make sense, but probably if I had to choose between the two, I'd definitely choose the V. I think the V is awesome.
So I've had the SK40 for about a week now, and I've used light, medium, and dark roast on espresso to try it. Now it also depends on the beans that you have as well. So for me, in my personal opinion, I don't know about how you feel about it, but I think the SK40 complements more of the lighter medium roast coffee, more so than the dark roast, in my opinion.
I'm surprised because usually I like light to medium on flat, and dark on conical, and I don't really like dark that much, so I don't really like a conical.
Yeah. Yep. So what else would you have to say about the lineup of the grinders that I have here? Which one? Obviously, the DF83 is in a different ballpark than these two.
Totally. Yeah.
But who would you say the DF83 would be for?
DF83, I mean, you about can't touch it. It's awesome. It's I've used a lot of really high end grinders, and for what you pay, you could do a blind test between the two, and I bet most people, like 90% of them, couldn't tell the difference between that and like a $3,000 grinder. I really don't think they could. Um, some people might, and it probably depends on the coffee itself. If you have like kind of a lame coffee that it's really hard to like discern the flavors. But if you have like a really high end coffee, it might be a little bit easier. But the DF83, I mean, if you deck the whole thing out with aftermarket burrs, it's like less than $1,000. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's ridiculous. DF64, kind of the same thing. I mean, what's it sell for? $380, $400.
Yeah.
So just out of the box for $400, it's better than any grinder I owned for like 10 years. That I paid more for, or as much for.
Yeah. I don't know if there's any more comments on here. Kind of slow this morning.
Yeah,
But
it's fine.
any questions that you guys have after the video, leave them in the comment section. We will be posting this video up probably on the blog post as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions on a certain grinder that we don't have on this video, you can reach out on that as well. But yeah, do you have anything else to add?
I really don't. I think you can't really go wrong with any of these. I know some people like them. Some people they have their issues with static or whatever. And I felt like someone said it really good the other day. I think it really just depends on where you live and if you're going to have any static issues. Now, the V itself, I feel like There's no static issues. The SK40, I have no static issues at all. The DF83, I've never had a problem with it. I don't understand the people with clogging issues, but I've even gone on my way to try to make a clog, and it just really doesn't clog. We have the V2 plasma generator on mine now. We're about to receive that order, and I have a few friends. They've commented back to me. They got those upgrade kits. We don't have any right now, but we'll get more in stock. So check our website. But everyone that's got it, and it takes a while to install, or you just got to be prepared. You got to take it fairly far apart, and if you're not used to that, it could be a lot. If you're not scared of that, it's really pretty easy. But everyone, they've commented back, and they're like, "Man, this thing is a lot nicer." Someone made a pretty good comment to me, and I agree. He goes, "I've learned if you just run your grinder for like 5 seconds before you dose your beans, it actually builds up that plasma in there, and it runs even better."
Yep.
So I think they're great. I know a lot of people, like, another comment that kind of was annoying to me, at least, is like, this is the DF64V. They should have started with this. They should have started with this. Well, it's been out for 3-4 years now, and these things evolve, and you're comparing it against a grinder that's almost $2,000. So they're not even $400. I mean, I could go buy a case of these things for the same price, and really, it's going to be negligible at the end of the day on like what you're getting, and it's a budget, really over the top grinder setup.
Yep.
There's no way around it. I mean, you can't go buy anything for 3 times the cost that would compete with it usually.
Yeah, and we both have the Atom. Is yours a 75 or a 65?
I have the 75. I've used
So do I.
the 65 and the 75. I had the Rocket Fasto, which is basically a Atom 65. I have Malkonen K30, Deading, Super Jolly. I've used like all the compact grinders. I like compact a lot, but they're just huge. They're more commercial. I've used all the compact grinders. I've used other Malkonen grinders. So it's not like I tell people, I'm like, I can go sell something that's a lot more expensive, and I'm just really that impressed with these grinders. That's just.
So would you say that I know the DF83, you could use it commercial use. Obviously, with a hopper, it might be a little bit. You might need a little bit more. I mean, you have to weigh it out every time, unless you do single dosing with it. But how do you think it would? How do you think it would work if you used it in a light commercial setting?
If you use it in a light commercial, and it probably depends on like how light,
Probably like, let's say 50 people a day.
50 a day, I think it could probably hold up pretty easy. If you're not doing like loads of back to back, but even if you're doing like 6 back to back, I've done it. I wouldn't just run it all the time. I wouldn't just run it as your shop grinder for your drip machine. Like, it's just not designed for that at all. It's going to heat up. It's going to probably start melting your declumpers or clogging up your declumpers. But if you're doing just espresso shots back to back, or even if you're doing like some Chemex or V60 and you grind it, you put it in your V60, you dose another one, you grind it, put it in your V60, you did like 6 of those, I don't think you'll have any problems. If you just throw a pound in there, you're just throwing a pound and a pound and a pound. It's not really made for that.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple questions on that. So just to clarify that, obviously, yeah, it does say for commercial use, light commercial use. But just know that if you have, let's say, a coffee shop and you're running it, like you said, back to back to back to back to back, like you would an Atom, it might come into issues. But like you said, if you're using it for occasional shots here and there, or even drips for your drip coffee, it'll be just fine.
Oh yeah, it'll be perfect for that. I'd still probably gravitate towards maybe something a bit more commercial, but if that's what you're starting with, it's going to be pretty solid. If you're looking for a decaf rig, I mean, it's too nice for decaf. If you're looking for maybe just dedicated espresso grinder, but you still sell that occasional Chemex, V60, AeroPress, something like that, you just want to leave it set up off to the side, it's going to be awesome for that. I mean, you'll love it.
Yep. Well, I think that's all for this one. If anybody has any questions, leave it in the video. We'll answer them.
You know where to reach that. You can email us.
Yep.
Leave comments below. And if you got any more questions on any of these grinders or the availability, just hit us up.
Sounds good. You need help dialing in your coffee or anything?
Yeah.
I'm always free. I know Barrett's very good at helping as well. So you guys are covered.
Good deal, man.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Barrett.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the next live coming up here soon.
Okay. Yeah, we need to do a little bit more stuff. Need to probably do some more roasting and need to do. I don't know. I haven't used my DF83 in like a few weeks, so I need to probably break out my DF83 and play with it and get it dialed in. And
Yeah, same here.
I need a. People have been asking me about AeroPress, and I just keep forgetting to bring it home. Then I never make one at the shop. AeroPress home, and I need to try it on the V. I need to try it on the SK, and this has been a while since I've used it on the 83, but the 83 is pretty awesome. I kind of wish I would have used it when I saw these burrs, and then just to try it out. But
yeah, the only burrs that I have installed right now are the cast burrs and the DF right here.
That I have one of those, and I really like the cast. They're very hard to use for espresso.
Mm-hmm.
You get it; it's like the most amazing espresso, but 90% of them are not because they're so hard to dial in, and it has to be the perfect bean, the perfect humidity, the perfect temperature. Like everything is just like the stars have to align for this cast burrs to be like an amazing espresso.
And the funny thing is that you say that is when I first got the cast, I was like, I'm going to pull a shot of espresso before I did any kind of pour over, which cast burrs really sweeten up your pour overs is what it's really good for. But I wanted to pull a shot of espresso. I'm just a big espresso guy.
Same.
And I drink them straight all the time, but I just made a milk-based beverage to do a latte art. But when I first did that, I dialed it in. It was like a perfect shot. It took me like 2 times to get it. It was 28 seconds and it was 1-to-2 ratio. And I was like, man, I just wasn't happy with it. So I actually went a little bit quicker and I got about 21 seconds with the 1-to-2 ratio. And it was probably one of the best tasting shots I've had.
It's insane. Like if you get it perfect, it is insane.
And perfect isn't meaning like following the exact ratio. Perfect is dialing it in for that bean by taste.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact one of us and we'll be here to help. So appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate Barrett. If you have anything final to say before we go.
I'm good.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Catch you later.
See you, Barrett.